Hello everybody and welcome to this Your Overseas Home webinar. Today we will be covering everything you need to know about visas and healthcare before moving to Spain. My name's Hannah and I'm one of the team here at Your Overseas Home. Now, some of you may already know us, and as a business, our role is to assist you as buyers to make your property purchase and relocation as easy and as enjoyable as possible. We connect you with some of the industry's leading experts who can support you through your journey, help you avoid the pitfalls, save money, and make it as fun and as exciting as possible. Now, I'm sure you've all been reading in the news that we are hearing that travel restrictions are starting to lift, and certainly here in the UK, our COVID situation does seem to be improving. And we're really expecting to see, and we've been hearing from our customers, that there's going to be a surge in demand for European properties this summer. So we're excited to have you all here and to be able to help you on that journey. Now, today I am joined by two experts, Raquel and Jeremy, who are going to take you through all of the nuances of these processes. First up, you'll hear from Raquel Perez of Perez Legal, who's joining us all the way from the Costa del Sol, where she tells me it's a warm 22 degrees today. Now, Raquel has worked in this industry for over 20 years and specialises in supporting expats to understand the legalities and the procedures and, crucially, the visa process before they're purchasing their property in Spain. Next up, you'll hear from Jeremy Wolf of MedAssurance. Now, Jeremy has worked in the field of medical insurance for a number of years. He's really well connected with all of the industry experts, and he's well placed to answer your questions today and help you understand what you need in terms of your medical cover. We hope to get as many of your questions answered today. And for those of you who are listening live, do pop in any direct questions in the questions tab on the right-hand side of your screen. And after we've heard from the speakers, I will get as many of those answered for you. We estimate about 45 to 50 minutes for today's session, so I won't take up any more of that time. And I'll hand over to our first speaker, Raquel, who will talk us through the visa process. Over to you, Raquel.
Good morning. Yes.
Yeah, I can hear you now. Thank you.
No problem. Good morning to everyone. It's lovely to be here with you from Costa del Sol. There's sunshine, 22 degrees, fantastic day. Well, a little bit about myself. I've been 26 years in this industry, as Hannah pointed out. I've been helping especially British clients to relocate to Spain. We are lawyers and chartered accountants, but we are not only that, we just help with anything you may need. So we've got everything under the same law firm. We offer all the services of driving licenses changed, also getting the NI number, part of attorney, the legal conveyance as lawyers. We help as well with direct debits, opening bank accounts. So everything you can think of covering you moving to Spain, we can help. Let's start with the explanation about distinguishing two types of, I would say, property buyers and what is the concept of moving to Spain. First of all, you need to know that you can come as a tourist. No need to become resident, 90 days within 180 days. So in total, you can come to Spain in two parts, 90 days within 180 days. You need to have in mind that crossing borders, you're going to be requested fly in and out ticket because they want to make sure that you don't exceed the limit. Sometimes, or maybe, I'm just talking about the experience, and my experience was that last year we processed more than 800 residency applications before the withdrawal agreement, before the 31st of December 2020. They may ask crossing borders that you provide a NI number or maybe provide details of a Spanish account with some funds which cover your stay in Spain during your 90 days. So that will be the first lot. If you are moving to Spain, if you are exceeding the 90 days within the 180 days and moving to Spain, stay more than that period, then the process is completely different. Then for that process, you need to take two steps. The first step, obviously, is that you need to have a property in Spain, but either by renting, and the minimum rental contract should be 6 months, or by buying a Spanish property. So you need to become the owner of a property. For the application, you also need to prove that you've got an address. So obviously, the steps I'm advising to all my clients are: come to Spain, choose the property either to rent or to buy. If you buy the property with the prior purchase contract is enough as far as to reflect a domicile, then get back to the UK, gather all the paperwork for the visa application, and then once you got the visa, then you come back to Spain for good, and then conclude the third step, which is the application in the police station in Spain with your visa already obtained, and then get your TIE card, residencia card, which is for the first one is for 1 year. Now, let's go into details about what is the process for the visa, which I know it's worries too many people, but it's not as difficult as you think. It's much easier than you think. It's just following the steps and getting to know what you need to do. So the majority of all my clients, all my leads, my inquiries are, how do I know if I'm entitled to obtain the visa or not? Because obviously I don't want to go further steps if I'm not sure that I will get my visa application. So I for sure will become resident in Spain. It's very easy. You need to cover if you qualify for the financial means. What are the financial means for the visa application? And now we will talk about different type of visas. If you qualify that your income or savings or funds, any funds that you are holding for 27,000 euros for one person, and if you are part of the marriage, the second person, wife or husband, has 7,000 euros, so in total approximate 34,000 euros. As I said, if you prove you've got that as an income or funds or in a bank account, just providing a letter confirming you got these funds, you are qualified for the visa. That's one thing. Second thing they want a GP certificate, which I provide a sample to all my clients, and all the GP has to do is just fill in the form, saying that you don't have any dangerous illness to come to Spain, and that's it. Your GP will stamp it and sign it. Third, you need to provide acro.police.co.uk criminal record certificate for the last 5 years. So if you qualify that you don't have any criminal records, that's not a problem. And then you need to apply for the application. You need to fill in the form, which is the application form. You need to specify which type of visa you are requesting, which I will go to that in a minute. And also you need to provide an insurance. If you're not retired, you will need to contract a private healthcare card, which certificate we can provide depending on the company you are using. And then we work with Sanitas. So if you use Sanitas, we can give you a quote and we provide the certificate in Spanish. And then the form EX01 and the form 790, which is a fee you need to pay for £90.80, and the Spanish consulate fee, the general one for the application for the visa application, is £516 per person. This is for the non-lucrative visa. Now, how many times you have to apply for a visa? Only once, only the first time. The renewal, which is after 1 year, will be for 2 years. You don't need any visa, and you can do the renewal once you are in Spain. You don't need to get back to the UK anymore to apply for any other visa. And the final one, so is the first one 1 year, second one 2 years, and final one 5 years. And you don't need to renew the residencia card anymore. Now, for the second 2 years, you also need to provide some financial means, which has to be this amount of money that I mentioned at the beginning. With how do you provide that? As I said, proving in your name that you got these funds is enough. Now, the GP certificate, if you're married and you're applying as a marriage couple, the marriage certificate and the GP certificate, they need to be apostille. So this can be done. I can explain to you how it is. you can use a UK notary public to do the apostille, to be sent all the documents to the Commonwealth, because once they've returned from the Commonwealth with the apostille, we need to translate it by a strong translator. How many type of visa do we have? Depending on what you're going to be doing. If you're coming to Spain to work, as far as you got already an offer with a contract, I will not recommend to apply for the work visa, because it has to be very precise what is going to be your income. You need to get involved the employer. You need to get involved the Social Security in Spain, because they will be paying for that. And many people are not certain in which field or how long or when they're going to start working. So generally speaking, for doing just this the easiest way, the better way to go about it is to do the non-lucrative visa. And then if you are going to be working in Spain, we can always from here, from Spain, modify the existing non-lucrative visa, and this is much easier and much more straightforward. The Spanish consulate, we got a few in England. Depending on where you live, you need to see whether you are closer to Manchester or London. You can use one or the other. For the visa application, you need to apply for the appointment online, and they give you the appointment, just putting all your personal details, and then also what is the type of visa you want and your telephone number, and they will reply to you. But I can give you all this guidance and everything once we are in the process. After you obtain the visa, you've got 1 month to come back to Spain and then conclude the fingerprint in the police station. You also will need to get the padrón, the registration in the town hall where you're going to be renting or buying your property, and then that is conclusion of that. Put the fingerprint, and after 30 days, 45 days, you will get your residencia card. For all those buyers, considering, and this is a common question about Brexit, nothing had changed with regards to buying a property in Spain. Not because Brexit after 31st of December 2020 is happening, the procedure is more expensive, the procedure is different, you are not able to do it. No. We always had Australians, Americans, South Africans, many other nationalities buying a property in Spain as a tourist. So the procedure didn't change. Actually, funny enough, Andalusia, because as probably you know that Spain has 17 different autonomous communities, 17 regions. Andalusia has reduced the transfer tax just 1 week ago, and when it was before 8%, now it's 7%. So all the costs and all the situation and all the procedures is exactly the same. Very important before starting the visa application or anything, even buying a property as a tourist, that we obtain for you, especially now for traveling, the NI number and the Spanish bank account. That's your first foot in the country. And this can be done without you coming to Spain, and we can do it with a power of attorney. All my clients, any law firm will need a power of attorney to do absolutely everything on your behalf. And I think now, Hannah, I'm exceeding my time, isn't it? So I'm going to be handed over to you. I just want to mention, I offer 30 minutes free consultation, because obviously, well, I will answer, of course, questions later on, but every single situation obviously is different. So we do offer Zoom meetings, video phone calls, video WhatsApp phone calls, which are completely free, and 30 minutes consultation. We can just go through the whole process. You will see it's not different. It's not difficult at all. Sorry, it's not difficult. It's just you need just the guidance, and you will get there easily. So thank you very much for being here today with us.
Thank you so much, Raquel. There's always so much to talk about on this topic, so thank you for giving us a really quick intro there. As always, we've got loads of questions, so I will press on with those and try and get as many of those answered. First of all, Raquel, I wanted to ask, could you give us a little bit of background into golden visas? How do they work? Is there a minimum limit that customers need to invest in a property? Could you just explain a little bit about that for us?
Yes, of course. The golden visa It's funny enough, it's a Portuguese concept. It's a Portuguese name which has been translated into Spain to Italy as well. We call it entrepreneurs and investors visa. This visa, the advantages that it has, the advantage is that when you apply for a golden visa, well known, you don't need to become tax resident in Spain. And that's a big advantage for many people that they are leaving behind businesses in the UK. But obviously, there is one important thing. The investment and the property purchase price in Spain has to be for a minimum of 500,000 euros for one person. So if it is a marriage couple, how does it work? The only solution is that one of them owns the property, apply first for the golden visa to become resident in Spain, conclude the residencia application, and the other one join the application after that, and then obviously confirming that with the marriage certificate they are married, therefore they have to give it to her or to him, the other one that has been left out for the application.
Thank you. Thanks very much for clearing that up. Now, we've had a few questions that have come in about the 90 days in 180 days that we're hearing talked about a lot at the moment. The first question is, can a customer extend the 90-day window if they're there on viewing trips to look at properties? So they haven't yet found a property, they haven't yet started any sort of permanent residency application, any visa application, but they just want to stay longer than 90 days whilst they search for a property. Is that doable?
No, they're very strict about it. No, they cannot exceed the 90 days, and if they're going to exceed it, they need to get back to the UK anyway and apply for the visa in order to be able to stay longer than the 90 days within the 180 days. What I mentioned before was that crossing borders, I know there is a lot of misunderstanding. Well, it's confusing because Brexit and COVID has been mixed up, so travel restrictions, which has been quite difficult to understand or separate. Oh, why they're not allowing me to Spain? It's because of the Brexit, or it's because of the COVID, or it's because of both. Not really. I mean, COVID has been really the difficult concept of being able to travel to Spain. When you are coming to Spain as a tourist, as I said before, you are going to be requested a fly-in and out ticket. So the officer will check that you are flying back with your flying ticket. You are flying back within the 90 days. So there's no way you can extend it, because crossing borders, you have to justify you are flying back to the UK within the limit.
Thank you. That really helps to clear that up for customers. Now, we've had a lot of questions. We've got people listening from all over the world today: US, Australia, Canada. So we've got a lot of people from sort of outside of Europe, and then we've also got some customers who've got European citizenship. Irish residents. We've got a Swedish national, Irish national listening today. How does it work if one part of the couple, a married couple, one part has a European passport and one part has a British passport? Does that make any of the application processes any easier for people?
Yes, of course. That is very, very different. Well, it's true that I concentrated on British citizen, but it's true that becoming resident for a European passport holder is much easier. If one of the couple is holding a European passport, then you don't need either the husband or the wife needs to apply for a visa. The only thing is the order has to be followed in a different way. Then the one holding the European passport has to become resident first, and once the first one, the one that is holding the European passport, has become resident, then has to come with the wife or husband and apply from Spain the residential card. The application, it's different. The documents to be provided, it's also different. For example, they don't need to provide criminal records, but they need to provide, they need to provide private healthcare insurance or the Form S1 if they are pensioner. They need to provide justification of financial means, that they got money in a bank account, which is 10,000 euros for marriage. They need to provide a confirmation that they got a domicile, either by renting for a minimum of 6 months or by buying a Spanish property, and of course the forms. But it's, as I said, they don't need a visa. They can come to Spain, yes. And many of our clients are coming to Spain with a letter from us as well, especially now with the COVID restrictions, because they needed to sign things in Spain and they had to come, which that also helps in case there is any question about it. But just the application, as I said, is doable from Spain. We will apply on their behalf from Spain, holding the European passport, and the marriage wife can join the channel, can join the chain to apply for it with no visa.
Wonderful, thank you. That's really helpful, because I know we've got a lot of listeners with different and interesting circumstances like that. So that's great to know that it's a little bit easier for those customers. Now we talk about proving income and things like that a lot, and I know we always get a lot of questions on this. So can you just clarify again for us exactly how a customer proves their wealth or their income, and also, if it's wealth, if it's money in the savings account in the bank, how do they need to keep proving that, every year, every 2 years, or is it just at the start? If you can just talk again about the proving wealth, that would be really helpful.
Yes, of course. Yes, it's a little bit to start with, complicated to understand, but you can justify this total income. I mean, what they're asking exactly is that you justify that your income is 27,000 euros a year. Now, how can you do that? For example, let's suppose, just to be more clear, let's suppose you got income but you don't have savings, right? So, for example, if you go to work and you're working in the UK, how you can prove that? Well, they will apply for your last wage slips, normally your last 12 wage slips, because you have to justify for 1 year that your income has been 27,000 euros. If you are married, your wife, for example, let's suppose the husband justifies his income 27,000 euros as an employee, sorry. So provide wage slips, the last 12. So imagine that this gentleman is married and has a wife. The wife joining the application, it will only have to justify 7,000 euros. For example, if she has a pension because she is retired, she can justify with the pension slips that she's receiving more than 7,000 euros a year. If she's working, she has to justify with wage slips. If both of them have savings, putting the savings together, how they justify that? For example, if they got some money in the bank, they will have to apply to the bank a letter in their names, obviously it has to be in their names, saying that the last year balance of the bank account has been the amount of minimum 27,000 euros plus 7,000, a total of 34,000 for both of them. And that's how it works. Dated with the date, and that's it. All the documents being provided to the consulate, and this is important, cannot be older than 3 months. So, for example, if you are providing a bank letter justifying your income and you are applying, for example, on the 18th of May, your bank letter justifying your savings cannot be dated January 2021. It's not valid. All the documents, exactly the same as the GP certificate and the criminal record certificate, all the documents being provided for the visa application cannot be older than 3 months. And I think that is important to know.
That's very helpful. Thank you, Raquel. Really, really helpful information. I'm conscious of the time, so I think we've got time for a couple more questions, and then we must talk with Jeremy about healthcare. Couple of questions about the NIE number and the bank account. So first of all, relating to NIE, how long does your NIE number last for? Do you have to keep reapplying for that? And how long does it take to get one of those?
Yes. Okay. Well, it depends very much how busy the police stations are, because we used to get NI numbers in 4 days, and now, my goodness, we cannot find appointments, especially in the last 2 months. Now it seems that it's a little bit easier, and we are obtaining NI numbers for clients within 10 days, 8 days, 10 days. I mean, don't forget, and this is something I'm going to explain to the audience. When you get the appointment for the police station, yes, we get all the paperwork and the registration of the NI number, because we are lawyers. We are a law firm with a special code registered in the police station, and that's why we process all the residency application for our clients in any part of Spain, including the islands. So, for example, I'm sitting in my computer, I access to the police station website with my registration code, and only certain qualified people can have this code to access them for appointments. Then we get appointments. For example, if I got a client who bought in Galicia, in the north, then I have to go to Galicia. Where is the client bought the property, or where is the client living? Because it's already came to apply. Okay, Lugo. So I go to Lugo, and I go into that, and I get an appointment in Lugo, because the client cannot go to a different police station to get the residencia card. It has to go where it's living and where the police station belongs to him, to his address. The NI number, as I said, it's 8-10 days at the moment. We have access to them. Is the appointments available in the whole of Spain, including the islands. So, for example, if I got clients in Mallorca, I will get it from Mallorca, or it doesn't matter where it's issued. The NI number really does not matter where it's issued, because it's centralized with the system. Now, a very common question I've got about the NI number and the Spanish bank account. Some banks would request the NI number. Some banks, they don't need it. They just with the passport. The majority of them, they will request the NI number. The NI number, as I said before in my presentation, and the Spanish bank account with the Brexit is absolutely crucial. And I cannot stress this enough. It's crucial that before they come into Spain, they got this. They got the NI number and the bank account. It's like the first foot in the system, because for everything they're going to be requested an NI number and a bank account. For private medical insurance, they will never ever direct any payment to any abroad account in anywhere, Ireland, England. No, it has to be a Spanish account. For the NI number, everything they're going to be doing in Spain, everything, every movement, you need an NI number. Now, different to the other system, England or other countries, you will keep always the same NI number. The NI number, the certificate as such, sometimes it says expired after 3 months. It doesn't matter, it says expires after 3 months. Only for certain institutions, they will request to be renewed. For example, if you want to renew Padron, or if you want to renew as important document, but the NI number, you don't need to keep renewing it. You keep your NI number certificate, and that number, it's forever. Exactly like the identity card for Spanish. Or passports. We never change the numbers. It's a very different system. I hope it's clear. It's a lot of information, but
that's great. Thank you so much, Raquel. I'm really conscious of our time. So if we've got time at the end, we might get through a couple more questions with you, Raquel. But I am now going to hand over to Jeremy. So rather than a formal presentation, Jeremy and I are just going to go through some of your frequently asked questions, and then we'll answer any ones that you type in and ask us today. So Jeremy, welcome. First off, can you just give us a little bit of background information about Medinsurance and about yourself and your experiences in this field?
Sure. First, I just want to say thank you to Raquel, because I find every time I listen to her, I learn more and more. So thanks for coming on today. It's brilliant. I just specialize in private medical insurance. I don't do anything else. I look after the whole of the UK market with companies, individuals, and I work very closely with individuals who are looking to relocate to Europe, and in particular Spain. I work with a large number of private medical insurance providers, including Sanitas, where I work closely with Raquel in ensuring that you have the right policy to go with your visas when you apply to move abroad. What I do is actually quite simple. It's not as complicated as getting a visa. We just want to make sure that when you get to Spain or when you apply for your visas, you have the right documentation and the right policy. You can't apply for the health insurance, the public health service for at least a year. So you have to have a private policy in place for that period of time. So I go through that process, ensuring that you do have the right documentation and the right policy at the best price that's obviously affordable for everybody.
Brilliant. Thank you, Jeremy. That's a really good introduction to what you were saying there. So can you then you explained about you can't get any access to the state healthcare until you've been there a year. Can you just clarify for us, is that sort of, physically being on Spanish soil? Is that from the point at which you got your Spanish residency? When does that year timeline kick in for the customer?
Good one. You can apply to the Spanish public health insurance scheme once you've been registered with your local town hall, the padron, for at least 1 year. Once you've been registered for a year, you can then go onto the public health system. It's very simple. But as long as you've got your medical insurance policy in place, you're covered for all eventualities.
Lovely, thank you. And can you talk to us a little bit about sort of starting the application process? So if I'm planning to go to Spain, I don't know, say in August this year, when would I need to sort of start the application process to make sure I had my health insurance policy sorted with you? How long does it all take?
From my perspective, and what Raquel was saying, is that to put a policy in place doesn't take long. The only information I need is really the address where you're going to be staying, your age, and your actual country of residence at the moment. The rest takes no more than probably a few days to actually get the quotations, and it doesn't really take much longer, probably a week at maximum, to put a policy in place. Again, depending on the provider you will use. As I said, we use a company called Sanitas, which is a great company in Spain. There are others in the market that we go to as a reference for the premiums. But the process doesn't take long, but you've got to have that to put with the visa, so that visas apply. So it's all in place at the same time.
Brilliant. So your advice is look at your medical cover really sort of early on in the process, so you can have that to go as your supporting information when you're then speaking to Raquel and going through your visa process.
Absolutely, because you can have a policy with a future start date, as long as it's there to go with the application, and you're covered. Oh,
brilliant. And that's really good to know about that future start date on policy. So it's almost, it's never too early to start, and you can put the date a little bit later.
Absolutely.
Brilliant. Really, really good advice there, Jeremy. Thank you very much. Now, we always get asked this question, as you know, but are there any age limits, age restrictions? What happens if you've got previous medical conditions? Can you just talk us through about sort of the exemptions, or any customers who might face any issues in securing a policy?
When applying for a private medical insurance policy, there are different ways in which to underwrite. There's full medical underwriting, where you answer a number of 20, 21 questions-ish. And if you say yes to any of those questions, exclusions may apply. I'm not saying they will, but they may apply to your policy, meaning that those exclusions will not apply. Different providers have different types of underwriting. There is another one called a moratorium, which I go through in detail with the clients, depending on the provider that we use. If clients are happy to accept exclusions, it's the quickest way to put a policy in place. If people are on certain medication and rely on the NHS service for that medication, and they can't get it on say through the Spanish health system until they've been there for a year, that's something I'll have to discuss in detail with that individual. But sometimes I have clients that will take out a policy, will go there and have to come back to the UK for that medication. I appreciate that with COVID and the pandemic at the moment, it's not so easy. And some people, especially in the last year, have put off traveling because of that, because they haven't been able to get certain medication covered. But that is something I like to discuss in person with that client, because obviously different medications it requires different processes.
Of course, completely understand. Now we've had a really interesting question that I don't think that I've necessarily come across before, but it's a great question. Would a customer need to get access to their UK medical records or their medical records in whichever country they're currently living in at the moment, from the NHS or the provider to give to you before they make an application? Or is it just a case of sort of declaring conditions on the form?
Exactly what you just said, declaring the questions on the form. Because when you fill out the application, as I said, there's 21 questions that covers all eventualities. So therefore, all pre-existing conditions will not be covered. It's as simple as that. However, some providers offer what we call a moratorium, which is any condition you've had in the last 5 years won't be covered for the first 2 years, and after that they will be covered. Now, I've had clients that have come from Spain and France to the UK. They haven't been able to get access to their records in English, which has caused a problem, because in the UK they expect them to be in English as opposed to France or Spanish, which is a problem. But in answer to your question is, they don't need access if they are doing the full medical underwriting questions.
Perfect, thank you. Now a question about the different providers. You've obviously mentioned Sanitas, who we know, and I know that you've got links with Raquel, who can also support with connections with Sanitas, which is great. Are there other providers that you go to? Would you get multiple quotes on behalf of a client? How does that work?
When I'm asked to provide quotations for clients, I tend to go in the first instance, I go to 2, maybe 3 providers just to get comparisons. Because although the treatment when you go to hospital or see the doctor is exactly the same, it's the additional benefits that different providers may provide. People like a la carte or Cigna, for example. Cigna are fantastic for Spain, as is Sanitas. So I always give a couple of comparisons to give that client the option and to show that what you're getting is, if you go to one, this is the premium. If you go to the other, this is the premium. And then we just talk about which is the best one to use. Now, as far as France is concerned, I know I keep banging on about Sanitas because Raquel and I, we work closely with them, and they are a great company to use. Cigna, also a great company. So it's purely at the initial stage to give that client confidence that what's out there and the comparisons.
Thank you. Yeah, that's really helpful. Thank you. Now, an interesting question about the different providers. Do different providers cover sort of different hospitals or health centres, or would a standard policy cover treatment in all hospitals and health centres? Are there any sort of exemptions on that front?
In theory, no. With all international policies that I have worked with, They all cover, I'd say, the majority of hospitals in that country. They'll cover the majority of the doctors that need to be seen, because there's a big difference between a travel policy and an international private medical insurance policy. With a travel policy, if you become ill or injured, you'll go to the hospital, you'll see the doctor, you will pay for it, and then when you get back to your country, you'll claim it back on your insurance. With an international policy, if you become ill or need to see somebody, you'll phone the provider, you'll get an authorization, you'll see the doctor, you'll go to a hospital, and they will send the bill directly to the provider for payment. So there's a big difference between the two. And so people need to understand, it's like what Raquel was alluding to earlier. Depending on how long you're going for, depending on what kind of policy you'll need. If you're just going out there for, say, a couple of weeks holiday because you want to go back to your villa every few weeks or every few months, you don't necessarily need an international policy. A travel policy from the UK will suffice. But if you're going there for a long period of time, you'll need, in my opinion, to give that total peace of mind, a policy that will cover you for all eventualities.
That's great, thank you. That really helps clarify. And I was actually going to ask a question about sort of length of time and policy. So you've answered that there, which is perfect. Now this is a question which also might require Raquel's input on this one as well. A customer is looking to purchase a property and apply for a golden visa, but they're not actually planning to move to Spain straight away. They're going to move in a couple of years' time, I believe. Would they need to take out the policy in order to have that as the supporting information along with their golden visa application, even if they're not planning to live there yet? I don't know if that's one that's better for you, Raquel.
Yes, the answer is yes, because one of the requirements is to provide private healthcare cover. So the answer is yes, they need to have it for the application of the visa, otherwise they will not concede it.
That's great. Thank you very much for clarifying that. Now we've got a couple of questions in terms of medications. So are all the medications, as you understand it, Jeremy, if a customer's getting medications from the NHS at the moment and then they take out a policy, if that comes under previous medical conditions, would that be exempt, or would they still be able to continue to get those medications under a policy?
In most cases, it comes under exempt. And that can cause a problem for a number of people looking to move when they go and visit the NHS every month for medication. If they can't get it from the local NHS service, it can, not saying it will be, it can be an issue. And that's why at that point, I like to talk to the clients to understand what their conditions are and how we can maybe get around it by talking to the provider. Is it, for example, I don't know, let's use controlled blood pressure. If it's controlled blood pressure, you'll be covered for things like that because it's controlled and it's not something. It's something you could get, but I need to talk to the client specifically about their medication that they're taking and how we can get around that by talking to the provider on what they need and how often they need it.
Yeah, of course, absolutely understand that. And this is a question, I suppose, that carries on from that. So say it's to use the blood pressure regulating tablets that you use the example of there. So a customer's been in the UK, they've received that prescription regularly from the NHS for a number of years. They come along, work with you, secure a policy, take that policy for a year, and they've been able to keep up with that medication because that comes under that sort of controlled bracket. And then they move on to the state-funded Spanish policy. They cancel their private insurance and they've lived there a year, so they then use the Spanish system. Does it all carry on? Is there anything that would be exempt from the Spanish public healthcare system? I don't know if that's something, Raquel, you would maybe have an answer on, if anybody would be exempt from using the Spanish state-funded system and have to take a private policy. Don't know, Raquel, if you've got an answer on that, perhaps.
Yes. Well, the Spanish public system will only be available. The Spanish health system is a contribution system. It's a contribution-based system. So you are entitled to have Spanish healthcare automatically if you are working as a self-employed or working for a company. So you automatically has access to public healthcare. Now, you are not entitled to have public healthcare in Spain if you don't have the Form S1, which you need to apply in the UK, which it means that you are retired already. So if you are retired and you're receiving a state pension in the UK, you can apply in the National Overseas Healthcare Office for the S1 form, and then you will be entitled to have access to public healthcare in Spain. But, and this is important, before 31st of December 2020, you could use both national healthcare system in the UK and here. But from January 2021, it's not like that anymore. The moment you use your S1, the moment you apply for the S1 and access to Spanish national healthcare, you don't have UK healthcare any longer. Or
Thank you.
Private healthcare, which, as Jeremy said, is not expensive, it's easy, and Spanish private healthcare companies is not like in the UK, that if you need an operation or extra something, then you need to start paying more fee. You got a standard fee you pay per month, which can be, if you don't have pre-existing medical condition, can be around 80 euros, 100 euros, depending on the age, of course. And then everything is included. Any hospitals, any operation, any test, everything. So that's another option. If you are returning to the UK time to time, and if you don't want to use your UK national healthcare cover.
Thank you. That's really helpful and to sort of understand. And I think it's really useful because we've had a number of questions there about the costs, and I was going to ask that next. So thank you for clarifying that, Raquel, because I think people, do want to understand a sort of a ballpark figure that they would potentially have to pay. So that's really helpful. We've had a lot of questions that do relate to people's specific requirements, ages, health conditions, and I don't want to discuss that for people on this forum. So just to stress, we will put you all in contact directly with Raquel and Jeremy after this session, so you can address all your specific requirements, financial, health, age, medical, all of these things directly with them, and they will be able to support you through your journey. I'm conscious of the time, so I'm just going to wrap up with one quick question, Jeremy, for you. The EHIC cards, a few customers have asked about those. I know I've got one somewhere, I think, as well. Post-Brexit, are we still able to use those EHIC cards if customers are going over for, say, a month to go on viewing trips to purchase their property? That's still valid? What's happening with those?
The card, that I think, if I'm right in saying, Raquel, that finished on 24th of December, and that was replaced with the GHIC, which is the global health one.
The global health one, yes.
That is still applicable, but that applies more for travel insurance if you're just traveling to Spain, as opposed to being a resident in Spain, where you'll need private health insurance. It's more for the travel side. If you become ill or you need to see somebody, you can then use as long as you've applied for the global one. You haven't got it, before you travel, you must get one.
Okay, so that's useful if someone's going on their viewing trips, they've got 3-4 weeks, long holiday in Spain for now, that's fine. But as soon as they're planning on living there, they need to have their policies in place. Brilliant, thank you. That's been fantastic. Thank you both for all of your really, really helpful advice and insight today. There have been loads of questions. There's been over 100 of you joined us today, so loads of questions. And I'm sorry if there's anything that we haven't been able to answer for you today. But as promised, I will get you in touch with Raquel and Jeremy, and they'll be able to assist you with all of your specific questions and queries. We're going to pop a link up on screen now to the Your Overseas Home website. It's worth mentioning that a recording of this session and all of our previous sessions will be available on the site. If you want to watch again, refresh your memory, share the links with friends and family, feel free to do so. We've also got some other sessions coming up over the next few weeks. We've got sessions about the buying process, so helping you with some of the legalities, introducing you to some estate agents who'll be able to help you. And we've also got some sessions about the finances, so your currency requirements and things like that, and also what to do about pensions and tax and things when you relocate to Spain. So do have a look on the website for all of that valuable information there. Last thing for me to say is thank you to you all for joining us on your Saturday morning this morning, and crucially thank you to Raquel and Jeremy for their wonderful insight. We'll get in touch next week to share their details with you, and all we want to say is we wish you a really happy and successful move to Spain. Thanks everyone.
Thank you.